So studying abroad in 2026, is it really worth it? Should you even go? Trust me, I've had so many students ask me that, but let's deep dive in this video. So hey, my name is Ryan Samuel. I graduated in 2019 with the idea of studying abroad one day, but wrong guidance, bad timing. I think that just got me to stay back. But the good thing is we formed GradGuide just to inform you about what is right for you and should you even study abroad in 2026. So first, I think let's look at the issues, right? H-1B fees, visa rejections, deportations, job markets. Where does it end for y'all? And that's why we're here to just deep dive into why and what you can do to actually tackle these problems. But first, before we dive into all of that, let's look at what the costs are involved in studying abroad. So let's look at tuition first. Tuition ranges from different kinds of options, very different from what we had. And nowadays you have countries where you get tuition free education like Germany. You have countries which give you say mid-tier tuition, which is around 15 to 20 lakhs like UK and Ireland. And then you have countries like the US and Australia where the education is top notch, but the fees obviously and everything comes with a price tag. So that sits at around 40 lakhs plus. But the most important thing that goes along with tuition as well is your living costs. Now with living costs, generally in each country you will have living costs be around 15 to 20 lakhs. But the most important thing to remember is that you can also work part-time. Part-time work helps you supplement your living costs, and you're allowed to work 20 hours per week, which in some countries you can earn $25, some countries you earn 11 Great British pounds. But that ultimately goes and covers your living costs while you're in the country outside. So the main question is, but how do you cover tuition? Tuition is a lot of money these days, and that comes through your post-study work permits. Now in different countries you get different post-study work permits, and it's very important to know which country has what duration for your field. Now for STEM fields, generally abroad you get a longer OPT period like the US, where you have 3 years of a post-study work permit. Dependent on you getting a job. But in Europe, for example, you get 1 to 1.5 years of a post-study work permit. In countries like UK and Ireland, you still get around 2 years. And in countries like Australia and New Zealand, you get 3 to 4 years of a post-study work permit. Okay, but post-study work permits and all is great, but Ryan, what if I don't get a job? Yeah, I've heard that a lot of times. And I think the most important thing for you to understand is studying abroad was not like how it was 10 years back. 10 years back, you called your chacha mama and you go there to whichever country they're in, and somehow, somewhere you get a PR along the way, right? But I think the most important thing for you to remember is that that is not how you can function in today's environment, especially with jobs getting automated, AI coming in. You have to look at which kinds of industries will work in which kind of countries. Not just scroll through Instagram and see you want to go to XYZ country because it's pretty. You can go there for a vacation, but studying and living there is a very different thing. In terms of industries, you should look at more up-and-coming industries like AI, maybe for the engineers out there, chip manufacturing. You also have cybersecurity that has grown in the last couple of years. And it's also very important that if you're going very early in your degree, if you're going very early in your life, then it's important that you go for a skill-based degree, like for example, business analytics. Or if you're going later, then you need to go for a more managerial level degree like an MBA. But the most important thing is to understand, where do these degrees have outcomes? The outcomes come from actually going into up and coming industries like the ones that I mentioned. And it's very important to know which country offers what. And most co-ops actually end up in post-placement opportunities. That means that while you're working in the industry, maybe if you keep good relations with your employers, you can end up getting full-time positions right after that. During your post-study work permit, it's most important to maximize your salary and outcomes, save a lot so that even if you do come back one day, you do pay off your loans and come back. Now, the most important thing to remember even with loans is that when you get your loan disbursed, you do not have to pay interest on the entire amount. It is only on the amount you use. So if you even get a loan of 50 lakhs and you end up using maybe 5 lakhs because you work there, you only have to pay interest on 5. So that helps you save a lot of money, and that also helps you plan much more in advance. And now let's get down to the actual issues, right? H-1Bs, visas, deportations, where does it actually end for y'all? But the most important thing to remember is that everything comes with clarification, and if you only read headlines, you're going to fall into the trap. Yeah, so let's talk about H-1Bs. H-1Bs now, students don't have to end up actually paying this fees. 100,000 was just a headline. But what you need to understand is that as you go as an F1 student in the US, an important clarification came from the administration about 2 months later that you as a student don't have to pay this. Now coming to visas and deportations, that has been a major talking point among students, and what you need to remember is that everything follows due process. Deportations, even though there was a case in California about a student drunk driving and they were going to get deported, but the most important thing to remember is that the university actually appealed it and won the case, and the student is still in the US at this point. Only if you enter the country illegally is where you have a risk of deportation. And lastly, let's come down to visa rejections. You must have heard a lot about that in the last couple of years, but what you need to remember is you need to show clear financials, your source of funding. You need to show an intent to come back to the country even if you don't. And lastly, you need to also understand that your social media cannot be talking anything negative about the country. Think about someone coming to your house. If they've just been trash talking your house the entire time and they're coming in there, you're not going to want them in. So it's a very simple process which follows very simple rules. Secondly, now let's also come down to how can you solve all these issues that you have looming around you. Firstly, I think one important thing that I talk to students and tell them, try to go with as much work experience as you can, because sometimes your degree just doesn't talk enough about your profile. Your work also needs to shine through. Secondly, do not just look at Instagram and talk about, oh, I want to go here, I want to go there, but actually look in how is it like living in the country, studying in the country, and the industries of the country. A vacation is very different from actually working in the country. And lastly, do not think about countries just because your family or friends live there. Think about countries basis the industry and what is working in your favor and your profile. And let's get one thing very straight. There are 65 lakh students graduating from an undergraduate level every year in India. 20 to 25 lakh more at a master's level. 80 lakh jobs are not being produced in the country. So if that is a scenario you're looking to hit head on, that is something you can do, but only the exceptional survive. What you need to understand is that you need to take advantage of where R&D, VC investment is in 20% of the world. Those opportunities are very hard to come by later on in life, so make sure you make use of it earlier on in life. No upskilling courses, no scam of going here, doing this degree. Think about studying abroad in very clean terms and you will see clear benefits from it. And lastly, only if you go outside of the country, you will know how to improve your own country.